Before you watch this episode of our cityCURRENT radio show, I want to invite you to join cityCURRENT's e-learning and online personal development platform called cityCURRENT. I'm Jeremy Park, host of the cityCURRENT radio show and CEO of cityCURRENT. cityCURRENT is your exclusive ticket to attend virtual events with global thought leaders, national guest speakers, and experts who can help you grow personally and professionally. It gives you access to success secrets, lessons learned, learning modules, and so much more. Being online, you can join us from anywhere in the world. Subscriptions are only $8 a month, or you can do bulk subscriptions for your team. Check out growthcurrent.com to learn more and to join us in our efforts to power the good. And now, on to the show. Welcome back to the cityCURRENT radio show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're honored to be with our next guest, Becky Rose Grinwald. She's the owner and interior designer for Becky Rose Design. And Becky Rose, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Jeremy.
So you're a fun one because we get to talk about interior design and decorating and space planning and all these amazing things that we all want for our homes and our home offices now. But give us a little bit of your backstory because fairly new to Nashville and Middle Tennessee, coming from Wisconsin. So give us a little bit of your backstory, especially in terms of how you got into interior design.
Sure. So I have been in the industry for a decade now. I knew it was what I wanted to do early on in my career, I should say in my childhood is when I figured it out, and I started tailoring my life towards my path here. And it's been a really cool journey. I worked for a high-end firm in Milwaukee for 8 years, and then I relocated here to Nashville 2 years ago and established Becky Rose Design.
Give us an idea when you walk into a house. I'm always curious. From a professional standpoint, what are the things that you're looking at? So you walk into a house, what are the things that automatically start to kind of grab your attention? What are you looking for?
Well, I notice everything. Also, though, sometimes I, try to turn it off if I need to, but it never truly does. What I focus on as an interior designer is I actually help clients with everything. So from single room refreshes to full scope renovation, whether that is blueprint phase in new construction or, like I said, a full scope renovation. So picking all the fixtures, finishes, plumbing, lighting, anything down to the soft furnishings, the window treatments, the artwork, and styling the accessories, making everything a complete story. So I think about it in a full picture concept.
So what are the questions? Because I think, you're bringing up some great questions just even on my end, but what are the questions you like to ask, especially if you're sitting down kind of in the blueprint phase? Mm-hmm. And so asking them things like, what sort of space do you need over here? And do you want the natural light or do you want more of the outdoor space over here and exercise rooms and all these trends that are happening right now with home offices? What are the things that you like to ask?
Definitely, Jeremy. Those are all really great points. And those are what we call programming questions. And so I ask, yes, what are their daily functions? What are the needs of the space? How do they want to feel? That's a big one that I ask and really focus on. Do they want to feel focused? Do they want to feel joyful? Do they want to feel intimate and moody? Do they want to feel peaceful? Do they want to feel really excited and happy? What's the purpose of this room? So that really drives and do they have anything that they're working with? Is there a need for that desk space or a certain dining table? Or maybe this is the space where they need to meditate or they need to lay there and watch TV, and that's kind of their relaxation and meditation. So it's all of those questions as the purpose and the feeling, and then we work around what fixtures and everything we have, the space that we have to work with.
When you are looking at kind of the different elements, like you said, there's the difference of the, more of the regal versus the cozy and some of those pieces. How does that start to play into not only the design, but obviously the furnishings and the paint choices and all of the little nuances, which I think for especially for men, like, I don't even know where to begin. So it's like, how do you start bringing in some of those main pieces to ultimately get to the end result that you're trying to achieve?
Mm-hmm. Great question. And there's never a definitive recipe, it's not like you always start with the sofa fabric or the rug. It's always, maybe there's some inspiration piece. I often ask clients if they have any sort of inspiration image, like maybe they've already fallen in love with a certain style sofa, or maybe they have a really great piece of artwork that we are working around, or an existing rug, or one chair that we're drawing some inspiration from. So I love to bring those elements together, or find something that's really personal to them, because that's where I really thrive, and what I do is doing personal design. So the other element to that is, what is the space? What are the architectural elements that we're working with? Is there a really great high ceiling that we're going to highlight, and maybe we're throwing some beams up there, maybe there's wallpaper on that ceiling, or maybe this is actually a really confined space, so we are looking to keep it light and bright because we need it to feel really open.
Yeah. Talk about home offices. Obviously, you know, the pandemic has really kind of opened the floodgates on the desks that rise. And, you know, I'm a good example where all of a sudden now it's like, all right, we have to reconfigure everything and have a home office and all that. But what has that meant in your world in terms of working with clients to create home offices, to maybe renovate or accessorize their home offices, to repurpose them? Walk us through your world of home offices now.
Well, there, like you said, there is a lot going on. Desks are out of stock everywhere, and prices have increased significantly. You know, not only is it solely just the office, but we are making multi-purpose spaces in the home everywhere. You know, think about it too, even just as ourselves, say you don't, maybe you live alone, but you got to kind of really get sick of that one little office corner. You want to go work in the dining room. You want to have, you know, a table surface maybe in the living room that you can sit on the sofa and be able to have your laptop and multi-function there. Then in addition, you know, everyone has families and a lot of people are homeschooling. So is there, you know, is the dining table used for every bit of life? Or, you know, have we put desks in the children's room? There's a need for privacy. You know, the whole trend was going to an open floor plan, where now we are needing to divide spaces off, and sound control goes hand in hand with that. You know, do you need window treatments to absorb some sound? Maybe there's artwork or acoustical panels, things of that nature. Rugs, textiles always help absorb that. The more kind of empty and sleek a home, the more echo you're going to have, and that sound is going to carry. Another big one would be light control. We need light to work. We need light for our video calls. You know, we need all of that audio. And then there's also the technology bit. We've all been increasing our need for internet and security, and, you know, all of these audio and visual aspects, as well as we are now home all the time. So our energy bills are increasing, and we're thinking about how the sunlight is affecting, maybe, you know, how it's coming through the windows and affecting our energy bills and the impact on the earth.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just want to take everything you just said and put that out there, because that's so true. And even to your point, I was thinking, you know, for most businesses, there was a big fear around, especially for those in like insurance or finance, where you're dealing with private information, where you could control it in the office. And then all of a sudden, to your point, you go home and everything is on the kitchen table or the dining room table. And that was a big fear for companies, is trying to figure out, okay, how do you still protect all the information if your family's walking around or people are in the house that you don't want to see that? And so going to your point about just now privacy, that's something that most people didn't have to think about, but now they do with their home office and being able to work from home.
Correct.
What are some other major trends? I mean, you know, be it exercise, outdoor living spaces, what are some other trends that really have your attention or are really hot right now?
Absolutely. Well, you named a couple of them. Another trend before we dive into like the rooms and the spaces would be people are needing to purge the clutter. You know, the Marie Kondo trend has definitely been on the rise, because a clear space equals a clear mind. And so we're looking to create some serenity in those home offices. And with multiple people at home, all these papers and equipment stacking up. So on that note, also storage is super important. So we're looking at, you know, credenzas. How can we maximize closet space? What pieces have, you know, these storage elements to them? Because not only that, as we saw with the toilet paper crisis, everyone is storing everything. We're not going to the store as often, where pantry space needs to be increased. We just have more life supplies on hand. And like you were noting, some of the room needs. So exercise rooms are a huge one, and outdoor space, absolutely. People are adding saunas and spas if they are able to. Play areas, the kids aren't maybe going to daycare, or they're not, it's just a lot more things that are happening within the home or within the yard. They're not going to movie theaters. Maybe the kids are at homeschooling and now they're doing crafts and artwork. So all of those activities and hobbies are now encompassing in the home now that we have a lot more limited public entertainment.
Yeah, and I think that's something that when you look at it, in a normal world, everything would kind of be external. So it's like the home was the place to sleep and gather and obviously have events and things like that. But home now has really taken on a new meaning in the sense that it's like, okay, now it's where the kids are doing school. It's where we're now doing work. It's where we're now playing and gathering and doing everything. And so now the idea of kind of investing back into your home to do these other things where you would traditionally go out and like a home theater to go watch the movies, and now movies are on demand basically, and that's going to be a big thing moving forward. Well, okay, now you're investing back into your home.
Correct.
To me is a good investment either way, because you're building that equity in that investment. So I just think it's an interesting trend when you look at what's going on in society, and then obviously how that plays out on the home front, literally. What are some other things that, be it, and I don't want to get too far into the minutia, but like color schemes, you hear, should we have white kitchen cabinets or not? I mean, what are some other things on your end that just have your attention for 2021?
Sure. And I'm so glad you just mentioned kitchens, because that was the other thing I was just going to circle back to. That's the other huge renovation, kitchens and bathrooms. Now that we're spending more time at home, we're cooking more, we're paying attention to those surroundings and investing in those. So those two key rooms are especially high in renovation right now. We've already kind of seen a trend a bit away from the all white kitchen. It's we just want a little more personality to it. And sometimes, the more that you're in there, that all white can be a little hard to maintain. Don't get me wrong. It's still beautiful. I still design some of them. It's a client want and need. Personally, I love things that are a little more, have a tonality range. I love color in a kitchen. I love some midtones. I love some wood elements, metal, mixing metals. We're definitely seeing a lean towards organic materials. Clean lines still, we're definitely still in that trend. And just longevity, but personality as well.
I know you mentioned the decluttering, and obviously that's something really important if you're trying to sell your home. I know that you do a lot of staging as well to make homes look obviously the most presentable. So talk about that side for those who are looking to sell their properties and are trying to maximize that opportunity. Talk about staging and what that's like on your end.
Yeah, so we, want to, again, keep things kind of as simple as possible. And when we bring in staging furnishings, we're keeping things a little trendier for multiple reasons. You want the space to feel fresh. Those are the lighter furnishings that are a little bit simpler for us to come in and place those as a temporary and be able to move them along. And keeping it neutral just because it is easier for us as most humans to visualize being in a space that isn't so personalized. But again, I don't want people to be afraid of personalizing their space. You live there for a reason, and that should be your home.
What are some of the things that, in terms of bits of advice, and I'm thinking along the lines of the decluttering is one, obviously looking at your home office and the privacy, the technology, all the things that you mentioned before, but what are maybe one or two recommendations, bits of advice on your end for just kind of raising the bar up in the ante, either clicking the refresh button, but just when it comes to your home, what are a couple of basic tips that you like to throw out there?
Sure. So some of the things that we can do very easily to just give a refresh, and maybe it's even just a seasonal thing, like right now we are at Christmas time. You can change out your throw pillows. You could add a fresh new lamp. Right now we could have some really rich, keep glancing over at my Christmas tree over here. We could have some really rich, like lovely velvet pillows on the sofa right now. And in springtime, switch them out to a lighter linen. And you get a lot more of that element of that way. Artwork, you can do the same thing. You don't have to have the same piece of artwork up all year round. And I would encourage you, if you have the means to, feel free, paint a space. That's a very simple solution to really changing the feeling of a space. That's not a huge investment, particularly, if you don't have massive ceilings or anything there.
What's something that you've learned going through this pandemic? And obviously, you're in a good position in the sense that people are focusing on their homes right now. And so, at least in terms of the wave of opportunity, at least creates new opportunities to be focused on their homes. What's something that you've learned, though, going through this pandemic that you think is going to make you stronger?
Great question. I think, as I mentioned before, relationships are super important. And that's something I've always strived on in my career. I've developed really great relationships, not only with my clients, but with my trade people as well. Those who actually, work in the field, installing the wallpaper, the electricians. And I think that the pandemic has solidified that importance. Like I mentioned, this is a very personal process. So that intimacy of our relationship, but also that I have a team of people that I trust and that they trust me, and we respect each other, and that we're going to do our best to create the home that, is amazing for you. Yeah. So I would say relationships is, the key piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree 100%. Wrap up with your contact information, website, social media, phone number. Where do we go to reach out and get involved and to hire Becky Rose Design to help us out?
Definitely. So I am Becky Rose of Becky Rose Design. My website is beckyrosedesign.com, Instagram at Becky Rose Design, Facebook, Becky Rose Design. I keep it simple across the board. My phone number is 615-499-6898, and email is beckyrose@beckyrosedesign.com. I'd love to speak to you.
Well, Becky Rose, thank you for all you do and for coming on the show. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here.